Hey everybody, Chris Eggleston here. Been a while since I've tuned in from this channel. Usually I've been tuning in from WP Mantis Facebook page live, but uh, today I'm here on this channel. I don't know why, I just decided to, I guess. But anyway, uh, if you read my quick description there, basically things I've been thinking a lot about is kind of transition, right? Like, where is COVID-19 going to take business in the future? When we're able to get back to quote unquote normal, which I think will take a while for businesses to get back there, smaller ones in particular. But I think bigger corporations will obviously get back to normal faster because they got larger cash flow, larger funding sources, more money in the bank, whatever the case is. Smaller businesses obviously are going to take a little bit more time to build back up if they can. Hopefully they'll be able to. But the four things that I listed in the description. One was how to do remote work. The other was implementing better communication channels. The third one, personal health programs, and the fourth one, personal finance programs. Or training, I think I said, but whatever the case is, let me just kind of break down each one of these and why I think these four things are critical, and why every business, regardless if it's a small or large corporation, should be providing these things for their people, but also for themselves as business owners that may be running a sole proprietor organization with 0 to just a handful of people. Number one, remote work. This isn't going to be the last issue, the last critical mass problem. This isn't going to be the last situation we have where people may have to work from home. This isn't going to be the last time a business has to close its doors or send its people home for health reasons or for safety reasons. And if companies can learn how to do remote work and learn how to teach their people to do remote work, these kinds of situations won't impact them as much as they have. Let's kind of break that down a little bit. I know from talking to a couple of business owners and hearing other people on podcasts and things like that, ones that have sent their employees home and are doing remote work are talking about how productivity is decreasing, and which is a no-brainer. It's going to happen, especially if your people are typically working from a location in their cubicle with a supervisor or manager constantly over them, constantly directing their day. If they have that structure all the time, they know exactly what they're doing, how they're clocking in. All this stuff is routine. All of a sudden you take people out of that routine and throw them into unstructured and tell them to figure out how to work from home when the company's not prepared for it. Of course, there's going to be a decrease in productivity. One company talked about how they feel like they've been a part of the problem with productivity now that their people are home because they've been so concerned that they're constantly communicating with them, constantly throwing information out there, and constantly reaching out to them through all their different communication channels. And they feel like that constant need to hear from them and to get feedback and to get an update is causing their people to drop in productivity because they're spending all this time responding to their supervisors, their managers via email, giving them updated every 5 minutes. And so, of course you're going to see a productivity. My fear is that these companies who see a reduction in productivity are just automatically going to assume that remote work doesn't work for them, doesn't work for their people. While if they take a deep dive look, a more analytical view, if they can go on a more individual view, they'll likely find people who excel with this remote opportunity. They'll find groups of people who they'll see that their productivity didn't decrease, but maybe it increased over this time. And so I hope that companies right now who are in the situation where they've had to send people home, whether it was a mandatory 2-week or a suggested 2-week, whatever the case is, that they take an opportunity to really dive into the details, dive into the analytics and figure out, yes, we're seeing an overall reduce in productivity, but is it because we're just not prepared? Is it because our people are freaking out? Is it because we don't have the ability to communicate properly, and finding those that will be excelling working from home, because there are people who hate to go to the workplace every day but enjoy their job. And this new work from home opportunity gives them the freedom that they want, so they're happier, they're more confident, they're more comfortable, whatever the case is. And so, again, I don't think this is going to be the last time we see these issues. And I truly believe that remote work can be hard. I'm not saying it's easy. It can be hard to implement. It can be hard to structure into your company. But I truly believe that if you figure out, even if it's only an emergency situation, even if it's only a dire need situation, maybe not something you implement regularly, but I truly believe that if you can figure out how remote work works for your company and for your people, if you can figure out how to implement that and train your people and support them in that, then when things happen, when crises happen, you will be able to survive. You'll be able to do better, perform better. You'll be able to keep your revenues up. You'll be able to figure out ways, because your people are going to continue to be productive. They're going to be able to be prepared to continue to do their jobs if they have to do it from home or whatever. So hopefully, and for companies who aren't currently doing remote work because they don't have to, but they're seeing this change, hopefully they'll take an opportunity to put in some kind of a beta program or test it out and see if they can make it work in their organization and do the same things. Because again, you're looking at a chance to be prepared for the next crises. So number 2 on the list was better or improved communication channels. I know a lot of companies do a lot of things with different communication channels. Some use Microsoft, some use Slack, some use just email. They have internal tools that they've built. And there's tons of communication channels out there. And if you've listened to any of my lives over at WP Mantis Facebook page, lately I've talked a lot about communication and how important it is, but how there's no one solution when it comes to communication. There's not one software program. There's not one specific communication channel platform that is going to solve your problem or be a perfect fit for you. I weigh heavy on the side of Slack, because it's so... Slack in and of itself is pretty simplistic, but they're robust in the sense that they have a very open API. They integrate with a lot of different platforms, a lot of different services, a lot of different software applications, so that you can customize it, so that you can tailor it to your needs. And so when you talk about improved communication, you can find something else that works great for your company. If you need something that quote unquote is more secure, if you need something that gives you more all-in-one solution, than maybe using Microsoft Teams with Microsoft Cloud and their whole cloud service that they have now makes more sense for you. And that's cool. I tend to focus on Slack because, again, I think it's simple and it's easy to implement, and again, it's easy to integrate with things that you are already doing instead of having to change your whole system. And so why I think this is important is because a lot of the breakdown that I see with the remote work situation is the lack of the ability to communicate rapidly and strategically and streamlined with now having a workforce working from home. And so I think that improving your communication channels internally, being better able to figure out a system that is beneficial to the company, gives you good insights, allows your people to communicate easily. And here's the trick, right? Excuse me. Here's the trick. So if you start implementing this better communication now into your company and start opening up these other opportunities for teams to communicate internally with, for example, a Slack, now you're looking at an easy way to train your staff. So when people are forced to change their work location, whether it's from home or, moving to another temporary location, whatever it is, they already know how to communicate. They already know how to use these channels. They already know what's going on. So again, a lot of the breakdown I'm seeing with a lot of companies who have been forced to move their workforce to home is this inability to properly communicate or easily communicate, and the stress out about how do we continue how do we continue to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing? And again, things like Slack have built-in stand-ups, and you can create bots to automate check-ins and do all these different things. So again, I hope companies will evaluate what they're currently doing for communication. A lot of them will find that they're just using email. Maybe they're doing phone as well, but they're going to need to really look at opportunities for better ways to communicate. And if they can do that, then again, they'll be better prepared for these crises. Number 3 on the list was personal health programs. I think a lot of companies don't do much outside of providing healthcare programs, outside of providing healthcare. They're not doing much outside of just the norm. And maybe they'll do something dumb like, sign up for our workout routine with so and so, and they hope that you'll go into the gym at the office and tune in to some streamed activity, or maybe they try to get groups within the company to sign up for a marathon or something like that. But I think that we need to go a lot deeper on the personal health programs, to where companies are now bringing in a specialist to incorporate into the daily life of somebody on the job health routines, where they can check in. Maybe even bringing in a mental health specialist that people can schedule time with and chat with whenever they need to on the job. But physical health, mental health, these things I think need to be incorporated daily and accessible daily. So maybe the company brings in a personal trainer, and the personal trainer gets to know the staff, does all the physical checkups and gets everybody on a regimen, and they're there on site providing the fitness and the training and helping and looking at ways to improve the workplace, stand-up desks, the balls you can sit on, maybe having an area where people can go and use bands, for a quick 15-minute break, bands or just foam rollers to go roll out some stress. Again, having a mental health professional on site, so that especially in some of these organizations that are providing customer support, right? Like a lot of support reps get beat up on the phone by customers and mentally just need somebody to vent on. A lot of companies don't like them venting to their coworker sitting next to them, because then it brings them down, brings the whole morale down, because everybody gets upset because everybody's experienced it. But if they could say, hey, look, I need a mental health break, and they could go down the hall and sit down with a mental health professional who they can just vent on, and that person can be there for support and help them, and then get them back on the phone, you're looking at a whole improved situation across the board. And then on top of that, if people feel better, if they feel better about their health, if they feel better about the way they look, if they're more confident in themselves personally, then again, they're going to perform better. Again, the personal health goes to, what are you feeding them? A lot of companies are providing food trucks, or they have on-site cafeterias, or maybe a stipend for food, or whatever the case is, or they just leave it up to the employee to figure out. But if you could work in some kind of a health food regimen, again, you're providing a better personal health plan, personal health program for your people. And this is way more detailed than anything I've ever seen in a corporation or in a business. This goes down to an individual level, to where, again, people are wanting to be involved, and it's kind of like in your face, like, we want you to do this, maybe even making it a requirement. Again, it's only going to improve the workforce. It's only going to improve your morale. It's only going to improve the organization, what's going on in there. So then getting to the last one, number 4 was, and this one I just kind of threw, and I was only going to do 3, but then I was thinking about it just based on some things I've been listening to recently, was the personal finance training or program. Now, and the reason I put this one in is because I think there is a huge opportunity, and in the small business arena, the business owner may need to figure out their own financial issues first before they can help anybody. But again, in big corporations, it makes complete sense for me, not just to say, hey, look, here's your ability to sign up for the stock program. Do you want to do that? Go ahead and do it. But to be more specific in maybe working with an organization that provides training, like Dave Ramsey's got lots of things that corporations can license and use to bring in and actually do classes and better prepare people for these times when there's crises, when maybe they have to take work off and the company can't afford to pay them, but being able to help them be better prepared, being able to help them financially be in a better situation so that it's not such a big deal, that they can afford because they've got their 3 to 6 months of income saved up, so that when these things happen, they're okay, right? So I think that it's not necessarily the company's responsibility, but again, if you can help your people be less stressed about the financial problems in their life because you're training them, you're teaching them how to be better stewards of their money, again, people are going to be happier at work. You're going to have more productivity. You're just going to see a huge improvement overall in your organization. Sure, it's definitely going to cost you a little bit of money, but weigh it out. Look at it in the long term, right? And again, I think it's super important, these 4 things. Learning how to do remote work within your organization, figuring out how you can improve the communication channels within your organization, and then again, figuring out how you can help your people individually with improved health. Which again, if people were healthier, it would reduce their susceptibility to these viruses. It would again help them feel better at work, help them feel better. If they feel better, they'll be happier. Financial education. Again, if people are less stressed about their finances, then they can come to work and focus and get down to work and feel good and not be stressed out about, the rent's due this week and I didn't make enough money last month, or I blew my money, the first week, whatever the case is, right? So again, I don't think 3 and 4 are companies' responsibility, but I think companies that take the time to figure out how they can help their people be healthier, both mentally, physically, and financially, will see a huge uptick in productivity, in the quality of life of their people, which will improve the company overall. And again, this goes anywhere from a small mom and pop shop to a corporation with thousands of employees. It doesn't matter. All these things apply to any company. So at this time, there's a lot of craziness going on. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of people who are worried and scared. A lot of people who have become unemployed. I think we have the most unemployment we've had in a long time. And it can be scary. But again, these things I hope that more companies will pick up on and will take the opportunity to see how they can improve their organizations to prevent these crises from being a big issue for themselves and for their people. That's all I have for you guys today. It's just what I wanted to talk about. Hopefully this gives you some thoughts, some insights, something to think about. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, your own ideas, fill out the comments. Love to hear from you. But have a good day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and get back to work as soon as you can.